So today we have a very mysterious poem, really magical and alchemical and weird, by Donne. Go and Catch a Falling Star, which is titled Song.
Yeah. So he's one of the Beatles.
He is one of the Beatles. Let's read it as a poem, although it's obviously a text for some rock song. Okay. Go and catch a falling star, get with child and mandrake root. Tell me where all past years are, or who left the devil's foot. Teach me to hear mermaids singing, or to keep off envy stinging, and find what Wynne serves to bind an honest mind. If thou beest born to strange beast, born, if thou beest born to strange sights, things invisible to see, ride 10,000 days and nights, till lay snow white hairs on thee. Thou, when thou returnest, wilt tell me all strange wonders that befell thee, and swear nowhere leaves a woman true and fair. If thou find'st one, let me know, such a pilgrimage were sweet. Yet to know I would not go, though at next door we might meet. Though she were true when you met her, at last till you write your letter, yet she will be false ere I come to 2 or 3. Ah, that's interesting. Do we need to discuss any words in it?
Well, there are some obvious ones which are interesting not as words but as something to be pronounced, like the way John Donne might have rhymed. Find, wind, or wind. Yes, we discussed that already.
It's like a visual rhyme.
Yeah, but I'm inevitably led to the conclusion that he might have tried to pronounce the word differently just for the purpose of rhyming. Yeah, and then there are there are things which are also obvious, such as the second person singular, thou and beast and returns and finds.
Yeah, st is a normal ending for thou.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that's also true in German up to this day.
Yeah, could be.
And so that's something which again.
And wilt.
And
you
wilt. Yeah.
Wilt.
Well, yeah. And then. For me, a mandrake was a sort of something about computers.
Was it? Computers?
Computers. There was, there probably is a piece of software. With,
no. Mandrake
so it's not about computers here.
A very old and famous plant.
Okay.
Mandrake root. So it looks like a little human. If you take it out, it looks like a little human and it screams a lot.
Screams?
Yes, it screams.
It
and
screams.
It's really very magical.
Oh. Is it something that they use in China a lot?
Maybe. Or maybe we use it everywhere in the world. We just have the word mandrake.
But it doesn't look like ginger, does it?
Some people say. No, mandrake is mandrake.
Yes, it's. Well, thank you for that explanation. That does help. although, of course, the overall, if I may speak of the overall impression, it's both very powerful and I wouldn't say confusing, I would say arising curiosity, something like that. So that's what I
So what we have here is a number of imperatives, like go and catch a falling star, get with child and manager crude, tell me where all past years are, who left for devil's food. So if a normal person reads it, then the normal reaction is to say, that's impossible. And in the end, when he says, if you find a woman true and fair, it's one of the impossible tasks, same as catching a falling star. But again, that's how spells work, how magic works. If you have the key to read it, alchemy, if you have a key to read it, or we don't have a key to read it, but if you have a key to read it, then suddenly what made no sense becomes really sensible. So we have today that song, John Donne. He's really big, great and amazing. He keeps inspiring people. So we have Diana Wynne Jones, who's an awesome writer. She's got lots of really amazing books. One of her books is Howl's Moving Castle. One of the subtle mysteries is when they have the magical world, and there's a bit of the poem that slipped into it from our reality. And they thought it was a spell, because it does look like a spell, it can be a spell. So, see what you think, said Michael. Michael is the apprentice. Howl is a wizard, and Michael is his apprentice. Sophie read. Sophie's there because she has her own business there. She reads the first stanza, and as it's a bit of a homework from our reality, so they will have first stanza and then decide what this is about, write the second verse yourself. It puzzled Sophie exceedingly. It was not quite like any of the spells she had smoothed at before. She plowed through it twice, not really helped by Michael eagerly explaining as she tried to read. You know how told me that advanced spells have a puzzle in them? Well, I decided at first that every line was meant to be a puzzle. I used soot with sparks in it for the falling star and the seashell for the mermaid singing. I thought I might count as a child, so I got a magic read down and wrote out a list of past years from the almanacs, but I wasn't sure about that. Maybe that's where I went wrong. Could the thing that stopped stinging the dog's leg? I hadn't thought of that before anyway, none of it works. I'm not surprised, said Sophie. It looks to me like a set of impossible things to do. But Michael wasn't having that, because he thought it was his homework left by the wizard, so he thought he had to do it. If things were impossible, he pointed out reasonably, no one would ever be able to do the spell. And, he added, I'm so ashamed of spying on Howl that I want to make up for it by getting the spell right. Very well, said Sophie. Let's start with decide what this is all about. It ought to start things moving. Deciding is part of the spell anyway. But Michael wasn't having that either. No, he said. It's a sort of spell that reveals itself as you do it. That's what the last line means. When you write the second half saying what the spell means, that makes it work. Those kind are very advanced. You have to crack the first bit first. Sophie collected her blue triangles into a pile again, while she's sewing. Now let's ask Calcifer, she suggested. Calcifer, who? This was yet another thing Michael didn't let her do. No, be quiet. I think Calcifer's part of the spell. Look at the way it says, tell me, and teach me. I thought at first it meant teach the skull, but that didn't work, so it must be Calcifer. You can't do it by yourself if you sit on everything I have to say, Sophie said. Anyway, surely Calcifer must know who left his own foot. Calcifer flared up a little at this. I haven't got any feet. I'm a demon, not a devil. Saying which he retreated right under his lord, where he could be heard chinking about, muttering a lot of nonsense. All the rest of the time, Sophie and Michael were discussing the spell. By this time the puzzle had got a grip on Sophie. She packed away her blue triangles, fetched pen and paper, and started making notes in the same sort of quantities that Michael had. For the rest of the day, she and Michael sat staring into the distance, nibbling quills and throwing out suggestions at one another. An average page of Sophie's notes read, "Does garlic keep off envy? I could cut a star out of paper and drop it. Could we tell it to Howl? Howl would like mermaids better than Calcifer. Do not think Howl's mind is honest. Is Calcifer's? Where are past years anyway? Does it mean one of those dry roots must bear fruit? Planted, next to dock leaf, in a seashell? Cloven hoof most things but horses. Shoe a horse with a cloud of garlic? Wind, smell, wind of 7-league boots? Is Howl devil? Cloven toes in 7-league boots? Mermaids in boots?" As Sophie wrote this, Michael asked equally desperately, "Could the wind be some sort of pulling? An honest man being hanged? That's black magic though." To which Sophie says, "Well, let's have a dinner best." So it can be read like a spell and you may try to decipher it. But how do you decipher it? How can you do it? So suppose you see it and it's a spell you need to do. How do you do it? Yeah, nobody's good at spell, but how would you do it?
Well, I would go about a very wrong way. I would probably try to read it several times, read it with my eyes and read it aloud, and I would probably try to enlist someone's help, maybe because I don't know anyone. Well, I do know someone, but if I were to do it alone, I would probably try to maybe find as much as possible about the circumstances of this poem, when it was written, why it was written, something like that, because it might have attracted some comments. And then you would say that it's absolutely the wrong way to go about it, because comments and circumstances probably do mean something, but not much unless you really get to understand what's in it. And then I'll be at a loss, and then I would desperately text you and ask for help.
Okay, so what we have here is like instructions. What do you do? What do you do?
Again, as I read it, I might imagine sort of doing these things, and of course some of the things do associate with what we experience either daily or when reading other poems or when reading other things. For example, catching a falling star. What is a falling star? I might imagine a falling star. I might imagine. So that's.
Okay, what is the point of the spell? What are you supposed to get if you do it right? It says so here.
It says so. Well, the point of the spell, of any spell, is to produce a certain state of affairs. Either you can use it to produce...
Well, what does the spell say? What happens if you do it?
Well, what happens is you find, or you think you find, a woman who is true and fair.
Yeah, so now we have the point, the idea, why we do it. Now we have, again, the image of a woman true and fair. We don't have the face, we don't have the name, we have the idea. Yeah, so what would be a woman true and fair? Because we have lots and lots of women who are true and fair in like fairy tales. Yeah?
Okay. Because when you started to say we have lots and lots of women who are true and fair.
Yeah, in fairy tales.
Only in fairy tales. Okay.
I mean, as an image, as an idea.
As an idea. Okay, yeah, that's true.
Who are they? Why do we need to look for them? And not just any woman who is true and fair, but a woman who is true and fair and hidden.
She is usually hidden because if you are true and fair, you probably don't want to.
Okay, we don't speak about like physical women here. We talk about guidelines. All fairy tales, they are like guidelines. You can read them in many ways, obviously. But apparently they're guidelines in a shamanic way. Because originally that's how they were told. As a part of shamanic practice.
I thought they were told to little kids
Never.
who were about to go
Ever.
to sleep.
Never ever. That's a very modern interpretation.
Okay.
So all these things which we meet in them again and again and again, they surely do represent something else. Same as in alchemy, when they say the queen meets the king, and it means that you need to put one metal and another metal. So every word means something else, every action means something else.
It means business. 13
Yeah.
or 14 minutes to go.
So if you're on a path of, let's say, self-discovery, you want to know who you are, what is inside you, not in a physician's way, but in a shamanic way. Who is the fair, beautiful woman you're looking for? Who is hidden? Your guesses, we don't know, so we can only guess. So your guess is as good as mine.
Well, if there's something, not thing, but someone hidden inside me, not in a physical way, isn't it a sort of a soul?
Could be.
As we live, we soil our souls, or at least I do that every day, and that makes this fair lady inside us not easily discoverable. But otherwise, isn't it also a sort of an ideal of an ideal? Because when we encounter something pure and fair,
Yes.
it sort of affects us
Yeah.
in a way that's we can't really stop, because it's not doing it deliberately. At least I don't think it does it deliberately. But in some way you feel connected to it. Maybe because you want to connect to
Or
this.
maybe because it resonates with you, because it's you're the same. There's a part of you which is the same.
Yeah, really a small part which is still
it has
pure.
no size. It has no size. It's there. That's all.
Well, there's
So
much that
what
is
if we
spoiled,
say-
and there's a little bit that is not.
It doesn't matter. We talk about infinity. Infinity means numbers make no sense. There's no big or small in infinity. It's either there or it's not there. If it's there, that's enough. It is there. It has to be there. So if you say it's the ideal, what's our highest ideal?
Ooh. That's a big question.
What are we trying to achieve? What are we trying to rediscover?
Well,
What do philosophers like?
well, philosophers like saying sort of discover yourself, find yourself, something like that. Some of them just say that this is impossible. Many of us think of the ideal as a sort of connecting with something which is eternal and, as you say, infinite, and that is beauty and grace and truth.
Yeah, so we can do that, because it doesn't really matter how you call her. Yeah, because you can use different words. You can say she's God's light. You can say she's God's wisdom, God's spirit, God's beauty, God's grace. So that is what we want to find.
And that's what, to some extent, does exist in the world around us.
It
But
does.
again, we sometimes spoil it. Maybe. Although then I'll have to admit that we do it at our own free will, and then that would lead me to acknowledging the existence of free will, something that, yeah.
You don't like.
And then of course you might say that everything contains it, and it's only up to us to be able to see it. So seeing clearly, that means seeing the beauty, the goodness, the grace, the wisdom of God, and that's what I think some of us achieve as they approach God.
For some reason, this idea is usually personalized as a she. So you have it again and again. You have Sophia.
Yeah, I was just going to mention that.
Yeah, graces.
Yeah.
Maybe because usually it's males who do it, so naturally they will be attracted. Maybe because girls are thought to be more beautiful than men, so if you're looking for something ideal, that would be a girl. Or maybe because it's that specific energy, which is not really a physical woman, again, but in the sense of positive and negative forces in physics. So this would be feminine. Maybe that's how it flows. So that line leaves a woman true and fair, and as the poem is really famous, you come across some commentaries again now and then, and it's really funny how lots of people today, because today we like equality, which somehow is never equal, but still, they say, but he says that a woman is either true or fair, so he doesn't like women who are fair but not beautiful, and he doesn't like women who are beautiful but not fair. Because he doesn't say lives a woman who is true and that's what I'm looking for. And I don't care if she's beautiful or not. And he doesn't say leaves a woman fair, and I don't care if she's true or not, but she has to be both true and fair. And you may say, oh no, he's paying too much attention to what she looks like. But again, if we speak about infinity, if we speak about Sophie, where we go in the book is called Sophia, and she has really big magic powers, but she doesn't know about it. She uses it without knowing. So she would be true and fair. That's the only way it goes. So what do? Go and catch a falling star. Get your child the manger fruit. Tell me where all past years are. Who cleft the devil's foot. Teach me to hear mermaids singing, or to keep off envy's stinging. Find what wind serves to advance amongst mind. If thou beest born to strange signs. So we say, okay, we are speaking to people who are born to strange sides, who are interested in going to the other side, in exploring infinity around themselves and inside themselves, but there's no difference. Things invisible to see, again, saying, what is things invisible? It doesn't have to be a magic in the sense like, oh, magic, Harry Potter. It could be magic of life, magic of self. Or we are magical, we're all magical. Is that magical? I think that is magical. And we kind of start with the middle, because it talks to us and it describes who you must be to do it. Ride 10,000 days and nights, then again riding. What is riding? Why do we talk about riding? Not reading, not writing, but riding. We have, again, we think about traditional images in tales. You have riding. They have to ride somewhere far away. So it's the same here. So why riding? What's the idea of riding?
Traversing huge distances that are otherwise out of our reach. Also, there's a sense of sort of mastery that you have when, as you're riding something that is not easily compared to, for example, flying on a sort of a magical mat or whatever it is, or maybe just going on foot. Something that means swift, something that means very powerful, something that also means there's a sort of a danger in it. And you are not afraid of it. You are sort of, if there's fear, the fear is transformed into energy. Helps you ride and reach the goal rather than stops you and somewhere.
So riding, again, how is it different from walking or flying on magic carpet? The big obvious difference.
The big obvious difference is that there's a horse.
Yes. So it's not just you going there. You have this duality, the man and the horse. I don't remember, was it with you that we discussed the horseman poetry? The man above, the horse below. No? Well, we had a few poems about riders. We were talking about the man and the horse. The man above, the beast below. in a way you may say it's mind and body, or it's spirit and mind. Yeah, some sort of unity. When the horse is an animal, but it helps the man. And the man is sort of superior, not really, but sort of superior because he's above, but he needs the horse to move around. So you can say it's either mind and body or spirit and mind, or something like that. So to move, to get there, you have to be whole, you have to be complete. You don't say, oh no, I hate my body, body is stupid, I'm pure spirit, then you can't do it. So you're riding. Ride, and of course ride is like ride again. So it can be doing your research, writing. 10,000 days and nights, how long is it? How long is 10,000 days and nights? How many years would it be?
Something like 30 years.
Maybe. An awful lot of time. 10,000 days and nights. So again, not just days, but days and nights. The man, the day, the night, you go into the light and you go into the dark. You see all sides of reality. And you keep going. It doesn't happen in a minute. It takes time, takes patience, and it takes your concentration, your attention. You need to keep your attention for all the time, because then it becomes your way of life rather than a fancy exercise.
The only comparison that is silly, but still still obvious from a lexical point of view, is that you can also ride a bike, and that's what many do today. And it's interesting how the image of a man above the horse, but because the horse that is alive.
Yeah.
And probably capable of thinking, and probably capable of, well, at least obviously capable of feeling things. Is so that this horse is replaced by a piece of metal.
You think it's any different? You think things have no feelings? Surely they do. Of course they do. I think any biker would tell you that his bike is alive, has a character. Why do we talk to things? Why do people talk to their computers, their cars, their bikes? They know, we can feel that the things are alive. We don't let ourselves, usually we don't let ourselves think too much about it, because then you may start getting a bit crazy. Oh, hello dear table. But things do have sort of character, feelings, so it's not that much different.
What they don't do is they don't have freedom.
You think so? Well, it's your free will to think so. Because they do. If it's not obvious, if we are so self-centered as not to notice the obvious, okay, that's not the thing's problem, really. It's again like today people say, oh, the climate is changing because of us, because we are so big and crazy and strong, and the planet is like, excuse me, who are you? just a normal cycle. I do it every that many years. Hello? What does it have to do with you? People. Yeah, so that's the same. You say, oh no, I can move the thing. It has no will. How do you know? It's not the cup that tells you to move it and you do it because it tells you to do it. Because it wants to be moved. And you're happy to assist. Why not? Or maybe what really happens is the thing wants to move, it teleports a little bit. It teleports a little bit, and then you recreate it in your mind, and you tell yourself and you remember it as having moved it. Because if you just think that it moved on its own, you think, oh no, I'm crazy. How do we know? There's no way of knowing. Okay, because it's all in the mind. It's all in the mind. So ride 10,000 days and nights till age Snow White has on thee. Wow. Age Snow White has on thee. Now we have white. We have snow, which again is, what is white? What is Snow White?
Well, Snow White, white is usually the symbol of purity, isn't it? There's also something about white gowns that are used in sort of burials or something.
Yes.
But I'm not sure, but might these also be used in some of the religious ceremonies? Because
black, white, red, there are three basic colors. As they are basic colors, they're used in most, let's say, ceremonies. Because we have black and white as absolute color. Yeah, pure absolute color. In that sense, it doesn't matter if it's black or white. Yeah. So you have, really it's connected with death, as in white wedding dress, white, again like you say, clothes which you may use at the funeral. Same with the black clothes you may use at the wedding for the groom, and the black clothes people wear at the funeral. So black and white is the same. Then we have red. Oh, we don't have red here, but we'll just mention it because it's like three basic colors. So yeah, when we have white, oh, okay, again, you don't know The Hobbit, the Lord of the Rings. So they had that great wizard, Gandalf, and in the beginning he was Gandalf the Grey. He was cool, he was big, he was powerful. Then he sort of died a little bit, disappeared. And when he came back, he was Gandalf the White. Now he was really, really cool. So we have white again as a priest wear, black or white. Yeah. And white as a sign of wisdom, purity, like you say. So till age Snow White has on thee. So Snow White is like the purest white. So your hair or your head, yeah, you have the sign of being purified. So here, in that stanza, we really have this, really what happens to all heroes. You're born to strange sights, you go through your journey, which is, again, never easy. And then you get purified, you're renewed, you are dead or you are reborn. You now have white hairs on thee, and then you return So it's not like, oh, okay, you just go to, and you just stay there. No, you go there, and you come back with a new knowledge, new perception, new personality. And then, when thou returns, will tell me all strange wonders that befell thee, and swear nowhere leaves a woman true and fair. So again, another interesting question is, who is I, the narrator? If thou is he is who goes and does it, then I is someone who stays. And again, it's apparently it's the same person. Because if you go there completely, then you can't return. There's nothing that holds you back here. But you need to have someone, some aspect, some part of you stationary to come back to it. And again, we have these two sides, like the man, the horse, day and night, and moving and stationary.
The man on the camera?
Okay. I think there's still some time. Well, you can check it.
Yeah. I think so too. Oh yeah, there's 15 minutes left. So it should be. I'll do an alchemical thing.
Yes, it's good. That's why it's here. So we have this idea, this image in our John Donne's poetry, which is like love poetry seemingly, but it's not really what it seems to be. And there again, there are, what was the poem, what was the quote? So one goes and the other stays. What's the valediction for being mourning, I think. One goes, the other stays, and there's no separation. So here again we have the same map, the same composition. Being stationary, going, riding, coming back. So now let's maybe look at the first stanza. Now that we kind of depicted the background. Go and catch a falling star, get your child a reindeer crew, tell me where all past years are, or who clap the devil's foot. Teach me to hear mermaids singing, or to people endless stinging. Find what wind wine, serves to advance an honest mind. Go and catch a falling star. Now we have a falling star. What could a falling star be if we think of ourselves? What is the idea, the image of the falling star?
Well, that is that falling star is something connected to our soul, isn't it?
Could be.
And again, it's something that only happens rarely, and when it does happen, it means something that is, it looks really startling, and it means there are some changes. It might be sort of, we often think of our souls or our predecessors' souls as stars.
Yeah, but those are like permanent stars.
They are permanent, yes. And this might be something that connects us to this eternity, because it's obvious that sky is infinite. It's obvious that
Well, it's not really obvious if you look at it.
No, it's just the window. It's the window that obstructs the view.
Could be. Well, anyway, yeah. Good.
And you can't really, you can look at it, and there is a sort of a connection, but it's an invisible connection. So the sky is visible, you are visible if you look at yourself, but the connection between you is invisible. But a falling star makes this connection sort of much more obvious, and it might also serve as a sort of, you ask why, and then someone sends a star as a messenger to tell you why.
So again, as we have very little context, so the idea of a falling star can be many different things. So it can be like connecting the sky and earth. You go and catch it. Again, if it's a falling star, what happens to a star when it falls?
It's well, basically it disappears because it
disappears. It dies, basically. So if you go and catch a falling star, means you recreate the balance. You bring some sort of creation, balance, life back. You stop the destruction. Could be.
And somehow, if you're able to do that, it can be connected to what we discussed a few months ago, like catching a snowflake, and that's where snow might appear. So if you are able to, no one is able to catch it, but if you are able to catch it, then you have that power, that special power that you can. And it doesn't disappear in your hands.
Yeah, if you're dead.
Or if you know the way to do it. At least some of the snowflakes are clearly visible, but they sort of lose their shape as they are being transformed into snow, big heaps of snow.
Well, we don't talk about snow.
Yeah, but we So the idea is just there's a falling star. Wasn't it also? I might be terribly wrong, but wasn't there in one of the books which were probably just as popular in my time as Harry Potter is today, these Mary Poppins stories that I read several times back then, wasn't there an episode where there were falling stars and the kids were sort of saying what they wish to happen to their lives, and if you say that to a falling star, then it will certainly come true.
Well, it's not just in that it's a general thing. Wishing on a falling star. So here you don't wish, you act, you go and catch it. Then again, falling star. It's a star is supposed to be in heaven, but it's a falling star, like a fallen angel.
Yeah.
But you don't let it fall, you go and catch it, you restore it. Again, there's a very nice, touching song, a modern song. Don't you know that you're a shooting star? Don't you know? You're a shooting star, and they will love you just as long as you're a shooting star. What they mean is, if you're an artist, you burn really bright and you burn out very quickly.
Yes, as a falling star.
As a falling star. So again, we have the idea of a star which is, let's say, fixed, steady, which is there to our perception it's eternal. From our point of view it's forever. Well, it's just one of many stars. And then we have a falling star, which is really bright and spectacular, which dies quickly. Yeah, but still what we have here is the idea of something falling and us stopping it from falling. So maybe, what is it? Could be it's our falling state, which we try not to let get worse. Okay. Go and catch a falling star. Get with child and maiden recruit. How is that thing going?
Eurostar. 7 more minutes. Let's have 7 more minutes.
Yeah, okay. I'm gonna have a little break. Okay.
A little break now.
Get with child and maiden recruit. Now that's again an interesting line. So get with child can be read differently. How do we understand the phrase get with child and maiden recruit?
One of the understandings is that you go accompanied by a child and you tear the mandrake.
Mandrake. Drink like a dragon.
Неужели я должна сейчас вот все прервать, начать собачиться с мужиками по ремонту?
Like man and dragon, mandrake.
Yeah.
Ну хрен с ней сеткой, ну пускай большие луки куда ныли не достали. Вот куда ныли не достали, пускай там делают. Принцип один, пускай моют там, где не достает.
That's the sounds you may hear when you pull out the mandrake root.
Они вообще не помыли, там ничего, там все... Где? Андрюк, ты зайди в кабинет и посмотри на крайнее правое окно, которое наверху. Там все коты вообще в этот проект. А на кухне что-то изменилось? Там наверху. А там наоборот посмотри. На верхнюю левую угол кабинет. Там все подсюда остались. Там вообще ничего не видно. Чего они врут-то? Они там не видно. Там даже не на самом случае.
So, little break. Do we get a little break?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay. We were talking about mandrake root, but another little note. When we're trying to close the door, to see a poem as a spell, to see the messages, we do pay very close attention to each and every word. And when we see some strange forms, we pay special attention to them. So if thou beest born to strange sight, not if thou art, but thou beest. So first of all we have the word be, which is bigger than art, more universal, more intrinsic. And then we have the word best. Beast, best. And at the same time there's beast as animal. Very interesting. And also, so what it tells us, if we have bee and best and beast. As in born to strange sights.
Doesn't it, from a very technical point of view, from a very linguistic point of view, tell us that it is something that sounds highly improbable, highly impossible, and yet we sort of suppose that this might happen.
Well, I'm not sure
If
you're
you,
talking about.
I mean, if we say in, which we don't, but if we say in contemporary English, if you are born to strange sights, then it's like sort of a question. If the condition is met, then something follows. If we say if you be born to strange sight, it means only in very unlikely situation that you.
I'm not sure. No. If you say be instead of are, then you may mean it's something that's in your nature.
Okay.
Like you can say, hello, I am Margot, or you can say, hello, I be Margot. Yeah, I am is temporal. I be is again more intrinsic. It's closer to you. It's your core. You are not born to it. You be born. That's your destiny. That's who you
So
are.
that becomes sort of inevitable.
Mm-hmm. And at the same time, you're best born. Who is it? No. If you're best born, again, it is your fate, your destiny. At the same time, if you say you're beast born.
Yeah.
So again, we connect the high and low in it.
The animal nature.
And consider that John Donne liked puns, liked playing with words. It could be.
Yeah, and in fact, even playing in very serious poetry, playing with rhymes like find, wind, wind, mind, swear, wear, fair. So this is also something that makes it lighter and makes it playful and at the same time.
But now we're not looking at a clever language games. We're looking at the message. Because if it's a
where
spell,
the games
then
lead us to.
if it's a spell, then how you say it is more important than what you're saying. So we have beast. So you're a beast, but if you ride, then we have the beast and the man, and you come back as a man, as a person, as opposed to the beast you started as. That's one point here, and another bit. Yeah.
Isn't there then a connection, because a child in line 2 can be seen as pure and sort of fair, sort of unspoiled.
Like
you can
we
also,
have falling star, which is spoiled, and next time you have a child.
Yeah. On the other hand, it takes quite a lot to sort of educate a man, and you might say that everyone begins as an animal, as a beast, and only by being connected to some higher planes, he or she becomes.
Just another point of view in it.
Discipline, okay.
Discipline
That's probably my life
discipline.
problem, because I'm so undisciplined, maybe.
Well,
I always.
discipline. No, discipline. Discipline doesn't mean you necessarily get up at 5 in the morning every day and you
What happens
brush your dog's teeth every day. No, there's discipline and discipline.
I get to sleep at 5, okay. Sometimes, if I'm lucky.
So discipline can be different, but again, it's all in the literature. You have the tune, the book, and the films. Well, the book is better, which literally starts with the again discussion of the subject. Are you a man or are you an animal? How do you know? And if you think you're a man, you think you're a man, but you still have to prove it first. And you literally either prove it or die.
What was
What was it?
What was The book.
The book, the dune. The dune, sandworms, spice. No? Does it ring a bell? Okay.
At least I have my little friend who knows.
No, you don't have to know all that. It's just that it's helpful. But you don't have to do it.
Yes, helpful.
Helpful. Yeah, and another connection we have between the two stanzas is falling stars and strange wonders that befell thee. Strange signs, then strange wonders that fall on you, like a falling star in the beginning.
Yeah.
So there's also some sort of connection here. So get with child, the manger crude. We can say one meaning is, like you say, we grab a child and say, okay, let's
brush
go and
the
get
child's teeth and then go and extract a mandrake root together.
Yeah.
Or the other meaning is, of course, that you grab a mandrake root and the child and extract both of them together.
Okay. And what's the other meaning? Get with child is make pregnant. So how do you make a root pregnant? It's a bit strange. So if we look at Diana Wynne Johnson, she doesn't mention that possibility. In her, it's just like, Michael, you can be a child, let's go and get a manger root together. But really, if you look at it, then get with child is get the manger root, have a child. But again, it's not from everyday's lexicon. It's again, it's alchemical lexicon. Make pregnant means something in alchemy. I guess it means you do something and then something new appears in the mixture. You add something to it and you have a new element emerging from it. You have a child.
I'm just looking at this alchemic drink. There's something magic.
Yeah. Well, again, we have a child which, like you say, like purity, innocence. And then we have manger root, something that is underground, magical. And
something that, as you say, looks like a man,
person,
a little person.
And which is said, as I understand, manger root is supposed to be a healing plant, first of all, or maybe it can be poisonous. Has a lot of magic in it.
One man's meat.
So again, maybe it's about some kind of either innocence. We go toward root, which is mandrake root, and we find the child there. Or maybe we do some sort of transformation here.
Yeah, and of course the root, the idea with roots is, you grow something and it gets bigger, and that's what happens to children. They get bigger.
Rooting. What is rooting?
Well, rooting means getting rid of roots, sort of like.
If you root yourself.
If you root yourself, then you ground yourself.
Yeah,
somewhere.
You speak about your roots.
Yeah, back to roots, sort of.
Yeah.
So
first, when we think about roots, it's like thinking about stability and connection with your past. Roots.
Yeah.
Being grounded. Again, as in the second stanza, there's a part which is free, which goes there and back, like the falling star, which is not fixed, which is moving. And then we have a part which is stationary, the narrator in here, who stays rooted. And that's what we have here. We look up at the sky, somewhere far away in the sky, stars. And then we go down underground. We go in opposite directions to do it. Yeah? High up and deep down. There's magic up there, magic down there, and we go and catch and get it. Yeah? Okay. Tell me where all past years are. So we just talked about roots as in connection with past, and immediately we have tell me where all past years are. So what is it? What is it? Do you kind of review your life? See what you've done in all past years? See what kind of connections you have? Because very often people don't like admitting their roots, their connections, but that's who they are.
Well, there's a very popular notion in psychology, in popular psychology today, which says live in the present, because if you if you think of the past too much, then you are sort of a sick person, only sick. Only people with mental problems live in the past, which I find quite revolting, I would say, because isn't it true then that we are very much so who we are today is very much determined by our past years, by our past experiences, and of course you might say that it's something very boring and very stupid and very sort of sad, trying to get back to the happy or unhappy times in your past, all those past years, because they are past, they are no longer with us. Although,
again, that's all from the linear point of view.
Yeah.
As you go to a more universal point of view, then you see that either there is neither past, present, future, yeah? Or you can say that you are determined by your past and by your future as well, because our future affects us. Somehow our future affects us, it leads us to certain places, it guides us. At the same time, it's not like you are affected by your past is affected by you, and your future is affected by you. It never goes one way, it always goes both ways. You affect it, it affects you.
I don't affect it, because that's not something that could be done unless you have free will.
How do you know? How do you know? Hey, tell me where all past years are. Maybe it's to see your position in time. Make up your mind. Do you live in a linear time, or in a circular time, or in a wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey time? Yeah, what kind of reality do you have?
And talking about reality, I'm sorry for interrupting. The past years seem to get back to many of us in our dreams as we sleep, and most of us do sleep when it's night and when there are stars visible in the sky.
Well, start and fall in the daytime too.
Yeah, but then we can't really see it.
Oh, we can see it because it's bright. Maybe we can't see it well, we can see it.
Okay.
Well, anyway, you can catch it at any time day or night.
But the idea is that sort of we often feel connected to our past in our dreams, either daydreams or dreams that come to us at night, and then there's this question of reality, whether there's the reality we face now in pure daylight is real, or whether our dreams are more real than our reality. Because in our dreams we often experience some of the events in our lives in a different way, in a very...
Okay, so who says one has to be more real than the other?
And sort of, we also meet people who are long dead, and again, are they dead or are they alive if they are somewhere?
Well, you may ask them next time you see them. I mean, who says one has to be more real than the other? One. Two, who says there's only one kind of dreaming, only one way of perceiving dream reality, or one way of perceiving awakened reality? Yeah?
I don't know.
Well, you may have some sort of empty dreams when you're just impressed by something, or you may have dreams in which your deeper part is trying to talk to you in a maybe cryptic way or not so cryptic way, but it still happens inside your dreamscape. Or there can be what they say lucid dreaming, when you can control your dreams and then you can actually use it as a tool for exploring yourself, your dreams. Or there's also not really dreaming, but when you seem to be dreaming, you fall asleep, but you don't see dreams which are inside your head. You actually travel to other dimensions. But you need to know how to distinguish them, because you might be thinking you're traveling to other dimensions, but it's only a normal dream. So I don't know, that takes...
Or you might be a sleepwalker, and instead of being transported to another dimension, you remain where you are, doing some stupid or dangerous things. I don't know. Okay.
So we were talking about, tell me where all past years are. So, where are they? Do you have the connection to your past years? Or do you preserve them, or maybe not as much preserve as... because preserving is meaningless, they just sit there doing nothing. No. Do you interact with them? Are they present? Is past present? The ever-present past?
Well,
as Paul McCartney sings.
No, that.
Uh-huh.
All the books, all history books, all the diaries, aren't they attempts at interaction with the past?
No, of course, not diaries. If you write a diary, you're not talking to past. History books are more interesting, but again, most history books, historical books, they are interacting with present. Because it's how you present the past and present what is important to the historians, more than connecting with those past years. Then again, it's a bit different. We are speaking about a personal past, not a human kind past, but a personal past.
But then a diary isn't it a way of sort of... did this thing happen to me?
It's external. What we need is to find it inside us, where all past years are. Again, do you know how they affected you? Can you work with it? Can you sort of revise it? Yeah? How do you take your time? Yeah? What sort of reality is it that you live in here? So that's how we move through the tasks, the poem. We start with a star falling. We catch it. So we come from heaven to earth. And then from earth, under earth, the root. root as past, rooted. Now we talk about all past years are, and we move deeper, back to the beginning. What we need is to get to the beginning by going the full circle. So again, if you think in Christian terms here, and you might, because John Donne was into it, you have falling star as a soul which falls from heaven to earth. Then it has to go deeper and deeper and deeper back to the beginning, and then back in the beginning it's heavens again, and then you have her, the woman truly fair, waiting for you there. As in the Jewish traditions, she is called Shekhinah, God's light, and she is female, and she's a person, Shekhinah. Tell me where all past years are, or who cleft the devil's foot.
Okay, we can do a restart.
Who cleft the devil's foot? Now we talk about who and the devil. So we come back to the beginning of times, we come out of time to the space which is timeless. Because who cleft the devil's foot can be a question or it can be a statement. Who is here in that line? So we can see the star, then we can see the child, the mandrake, now the devil, and the opposite, or not really opposite, who?
Yeah.
Who is one of the names of God, really. So when you say who, it can be a question or it can be a statement, as in who is the name. Who cleft the devil's foot is a statement. Who, as in God cleft devil's foot. So why do we talk about devil here? And clefting devil's foot. Again, maybe if it's a secret alchemical language, then maybe devil is a name of another substance, and to cleft his foot is some kind of action you need to do with it. But if we are not talking about it, what is the meaning of the devil and clefting devil's foot?
Prevent the devil from doing some harm.
How? What does it mean to cleave the foot?
Well, it means prevent someone from being fully operational, doesn't it?
Well, if you cleave a horse, what happens?
Well, if you cleave a horse, then you sort of provide some sort of... So you help the horse to...
Yeah, so if you shoe a horse, and how is it preventing the horse?
Well, it doesn't, but you don't do that to people, and you don't do that to fallen angels or something.
But here we have the devil,
Yeah.
and the traditional image of the devil is with hoofs and horns and tail.
Okay. But that then means that you sort of are a very powerful person who
can catch the
can catch the
devil
devil, cleave his foot, and sort of ride the devil and make the devil take you to where you want to.
Ah, interesting. So you think maybe ride 10,000 days and nights you're riding with the devil? Could be. Because you're not afraid of the devil, you're using the devil like some heroes against do.
Devil is less,
like some heroes here. Who cleft the devil's foot? So we have the word with the devil and someone who is bigger than the devil, who can again, let's say affect maybe the devil. And again we have the idea of foot, root, foot, writing, beasts.
Well, in Russian literature, there's this famous left-handed hero who cleft the flea.
Well, I think it's a bit different.
But it's a bit different, and I said something.
Okay, let's say,
about
is the devil supposed to be cleft? Or is it something unusual?
I would say it's something unusual. It's something that does not happen on a daily basis.
But it's already happened. It's in the past here. We know it doesn't say go and clean the devil's foot. It's tell me where and tell me who. So we have where and who. Interesting.
Isn't it where the devil is, where all the past years might be?
Okay.
Somehow, and then we are sort of again in the Christian tradition. We are rescued from that sort of eternal presence down there, where the devils and the demons are, and we're saved. And we can instead really hope.
Okay, and in this case, who cleft is a statement. Who, like God.
Yes.
God has power over the devil.
Yeah.
Okay. So tell me, teach me. We are we asking? Are we ordering? And who is talking to who?
Well, you might even say that it's one and the same person talking to his other self. Because when I say if you think of it as spells, or if you think of it as a sort of a self-exploration exercise, then can't I say to myself, teach me to hear mermaids singing, teach me to hear something that I forgot, or something that I don't hear on a daily basis, something that is probably much more beautiful and much more important than I.
So we have sort of evil creatures here. We have the devil, we have mermaids.
Yes, we have those nice people who forget closing the doors.
Okay. So tell me, teach me, the stationary person needs knowledge, but he can't go. So he has to send a mobile part to do it. And that's a task. Tell me, teach me. Teach me to hear mermaids singing. So we had the devil, who is like imagined as a male character. Now we have mermaids, girls, again on the dark side.
On the dark side.
Because they are, don't you know?
There's a beautiful mermaid sitting in the center of Copenhagen.
Again,
mermaids with the soul, with the human soul.
Mermaids have always been evil spirits. Mermaids had no mercy for humans, never. the idea of a mermaid is that she sings to you,
and then she
hypnotizes you,
yeah,
and then she brings you underwater
yes,
and kills you.
yeah.
So the tale you refer to, which is a very modern tale, that's a play on it, how the very evil creature who was supposed to kill humans fell in love with one and sacrificed herself. Yeah, so that was the really big turn, how an evil creature
But isn't it
falls in love.
sort of a Christian turn to the story?
Maybe. So it was really unusual to do it. Same, and now you have all these happy cartoons with happy mermaids. But even if you look at Peter Pan, then they have real mermaids there who are not friendly. Mermaids have never been friendly. No, never.
That's just the problem with
Sirens and mermaids.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
The creatures of the sea are rarely friendly to people.
But
So tell me the mermaid
why?
singing.
Because with these sirens and all that sort of stuff, all that sort of creatures, you sometimes block your ears to prevent you from hearing them. And here you want to hear.
Yes, exactly. You want
mermaids.
to go into danger and see the beauty of the dark side, and it's the sort of beauty, and it's beautiful because it hypnotizes you. You like it. It's sort of beauty which can kill you.
Yeah, isn't it something that we've discussed when this nice man was traveling on with his partners in crime, and they knew they would approach this place where the sirens were having, and he said, whatever I do,
Ulysses.
yeah, whatever I do.
Why don't you just say Ulysses? Because I know what he means.
Yeah,
but also roundabout.
But it's just because there's this thinking process. I forgot his name. I mean, the man who sort of had both pleasures, the pleasure of killing them and the pleasure of not being killed by them as a result.
Maybe. But what happens here? Teach me to hear mermaids singing. So, and then we talk about women true and fair, non-existent. So what could be the mermaid singing? So on one hand we leave the ground, we go into water, which is much more dangerous. We go into a danger which is more dangerous than any other danger because it affects your mind, and it's not a physical danger as such. Yeah, it's the danger of perception. Well, the mermaid singing, but teach me to hear mermaids singing. Maybe the mermaids are singing, but we don't realize it's the mermaids singing. We think it's just something nice. We don't realize how it affects us. Maybe here it says, now teach me to distinguish, teach me to see the danger. Or maybe it says, teach me to be able to go to dark places, to go through and out.
And heart.
Yes. But we talk about the devil's food being cleft. Now to hear mermaids singing. So I think my guess is that we hear it all the time, but we don't realize we hear it. So it affects us and we don't even notice it. And here, as it says, teach me to hear mermaids singing. It doesn't say teach me to do something else. Teach me, not tell me to hear how mermaids are singing, but teach me to hear mermaids singing. So that's a very important skill which you need to learn, to hear the mermaid singing, because unless you know which is the mermaid singing and which is your own ideas, how can you navigate? You can't navigate. teach me to hear mermaids singing. More comments here? Or to keep off envy stinging. Interesting. So we talk about all these, let's say, aspects, characters, and now we talk about envy. How is envy connected to mermaids and mandrake and falling stars?
Well, envy is connected to this story of the fallen angel.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And it is something that often leads to sin. Again, the attraction of making sin attractive. Somehow John Donne attaches great importance to envy and getting rid of envy.
Mm-hmm. Maybe it's one of the worst problems that we have. Envy is thinking why people do something bad. Why can we not hear themselves? They hear the sirens who tell them to be nasty. So he doesn't say, teach me to hear mermaids singing and to keep off envy's stinging. Teach me to hear mermaids singing or to keep off envy's stinging. So apparently the two are connected. If you can hear and understand that you're hearing it, a mermaid singing, then envy might not sting you because it's caused by the singing. Or if you know how to keep off envy's stinging, then you can listen to mermaids and they can't harm you because you have this ability to keep off envy stinging. So we come again, the story of falling star, a falling angel, falling soul comes from heavens to earth, and here we have all these let's say characters. We have the devil, the mermaids, envy. That's what we find on earth, and we need to work with it. We can't say, oh well, there's nothing I can do. It's just such world. What do I do? There's nothing. No, you learn to work with it. You learn how to again navigate through it, so it doesn't affect you that much. You learn to play with it, to sing with it. Because singing, the mermaids are singing, but you are singing too. Yes, you do. And the whole thing is called song. So you are singing as you read it. Even if you don't know you're singing because you're reading it and it's a song, so you sing it. I mean, singing doesn't have to be, oh, it can be just reading. Reading is singing. To keep off envy stinging. Anything else here? And find what Wynne serves to advance an honest mind. So again we have this strange bit, wind or wine. And again, if it's just a normal little poem, then you say, oh well, it's nothing, it's just a visual rhyme, I have my explanation ready. There's nothing mysterious about it. Go on, go on. But if you look at it again as a message, as a spell, then you stop and say, so it can be a wind and can be a wind. You pay attention to it because it's unusual. You don't just explain it and move on. You pause, you breathe it, you feel it. So we have find and mind, and in between we have wind or wine, because wine is also a word. Yeah. So Go, catch, get, tell me, teach me, and find. So what's the meaning of that last phrase? What Wynne serves to advance an honest mind? Is it related to the previous lines, or is it something new? Yes, it's related, because we are trying to see how to keep an honest mind, how to keep the devil off, how to catch a falling star and bring it back, how to hear mermaids singing and keep off enemies stinging, how to remain in our honest mind. Honest as in noble, as in original, as in pure, as in uncontaminated by mermaids, let's say. Yeah. And what is wind? What is wind? So we come back into open space. We started with the open space, the falling star. And then we were on the ground, underground, in the sea, undersea. Yeah? Now we're back to air, the air element, which is like spirit. Again, wind. Also winding. Or what could be winding here? Maybe the road is winding, it's not a straight road. Maybe. Or maybe it winds you, it keeps you going. Maybe. What wind serves to advance an honest mind? So again, wind and mind, they don't rhyme, and yet they do. Spirit and mind, yeah, wind, spirit, and mind, they don't rhyme. Logically, in our logical mind, we tend to separate and say, okay, that is spirit, that is mind, it's different, it has its own place, this has its own place, or they are competing, or something else, but no, not really. That's only from a logical, linear perspective. But if we go into poem, into spell, into magic, then what seems to be different, wind and mind, suddenly starts to rhyme, to resonate, to be together, to be connected. And wind, or spirit, helps an honest mind, our presence here, how we, again, we would navigate here. How do we navigate in the sea? By catching the right wind. How do we navigate in the sea full of mermaids, in the earthly sea full of mermaids, of confusion? We catch the right wind of spirit, which helps us. Spirit, then mind, and then emotion, action, reality as we see it. How we see it is how we react to it. And how we see it is what kind of wind do we catch in our sails. Yeah? Is it too horrible? It's very horrible. Phew, and serves to advance an honest mind. All the words are really amazing because wind serves mind. Yeah, wind serves to advance an honest mind. Again, in a logical, linear perspective, what are the relations between mind and spirit usually? How do we see it? Which is
the opposite.
Yeah, as in being opposite, which is serving which, if any.
Depends on the person.
Yeah, depends on the person. Well, generally we think that, oh, spirit is something big and great and far away, and mind is our practical tool, and the tool is used to serve. But here, no, spirit, big spirit, is happy to serve the mind. It's still bigger, but it's happy to help, to serve. Again, if you think about Christianity, this is what happens with Jesus, with God, who is always happy to assist stupid humans. Yeah. Serving. Again, it's a mutual thing. Oh, no thing. And the word advance, enormous mind. Yeah, develop or go forward. Phew. Anything else here? Anything else there?
Okay, let's give it.
Okay. Ooh. It's going to 2 hours. It happens literally each time I look at the poem. It's like, oh, it's such a tiny little poem. What can I possibly say about it? I didn't even have time to sit and think about it, just because there's no point. You just connect to the gnomic stream and they tell you what to say. And wow, it's been nearly 2 hours and we only discussed 2 stanzas out of 3. Wow. I'm sure there's much more to say about it if you have a few weeks.
If you have a few minutes.
Or months. Yeah. Okay. So, the way we look at it, it's sort of, again, non-linear, because you need to first look at the middle to see who it's supposed to be in the first place. Because you can't go and do it unless you know who you are. You are beast born to strange sides. But you only know it from the second stanza. So it exists non-linearly. So you do all that, you purify yourself, you find what we insert advance and honest mind. And again, you work on it, you practice, or you just connect with it. You don't do anything as such. You're not doing. You're just being. And when you get your white hairs, when you're purified, all strange wonders that befell thee, and swear nowhere lives a woman true and fair. Now, nowhere. We can read it again linearly, or we can read it magically. So if we read it linearly, it's like, oh no, the big disappointment. There is no woman who is true and fair. But if we look at it magically, we say, ah, wow, great, happy news. Where do you find a woman or your virtual truth? You find her nowhere. Yeah? We have where, we have what, we have the world of hard thingity, which is linear, limited in our perception. It's not limited, but it's limited in our perception. Yeah. Where we are really, really stupid. And then we have not what and nowhere. Where you can get to nowhere if you are all that, the first 2 stanzas. Yeah. Then you can get from where to nowhere. And as you do all that and you get to nowhere, nowhere, you do find the beautiful Sophia, the beautiful Shekhinah, or whatever you call her. She's there, she's in nowhere. because she's too big, too amazing to be transported into the where place, to the what place. She's not what, she's nowhere. Wow, amazing. And she lives there, she's alive. It's not a concept, it's not an abstract idea, she is very much alive. She lives there. True and fair, and again fair like fairy, magical. True, true as true to you. True as in real, really, truly real. Yeah, because we have lots of things, ideas which are not true, which are true as long as we look at them from, again, our little box. They're true in the little box, but as you step away, they stop being true, they fall apart, because they all belong to infinity, and infinity is bigger than what we can see through the little slit in our box. Yeah, but she is true. She doesn't fall apart, she is infinite. Wow, yeah, I like it. Thank you, Gnome. Because everybody reads the poem and says, oh, well, it's a horrible poem which says that all women are fools. No, it's not about it. It's about something completely different. Completely. Woo, wow. If thou find'st one, let me know. Such a pilgrimage were sweet. Yet do not, I would not go, though at next door we might meet. Though she were true when you met her, at last till you write your letter, yet she will be false ere I come to 2 or 3. Wow, more magic, more magic. How about having a little break? Let's have a little break. Let's have a little break. More tea. Too much speaking. They say that averagely a person speaks for like 5 minutes for 7 days. Get me tea. Phew. Wow. Now we're coming to the last stanza. Can it be true? If thou find'st one, let me know. Such a pilgrimage were sweet. So what was it to find what wine is strange. Again, wine or wine, it's not fixed. You can't put your finger on it. Now it's wine, now it's wine. You can't grasp it and put it into language, because really it's unlanguageable. So you were meant to find what wine, so as to advance and last mind. Now if you find one, a woman true and fair, but also the wind, so they become the same here. So now we know that really the woman true and fair is the wind which serves to advance an honest mind, which again is spirit. If thou find'st one, let me know, such a pilgrimage were sweet.
Yeah. So if you find that wine, that wind, if you find that true foe, do let me know, because I would embark on such a pilgrimage. I would. It would be nice, and yet there's already a doubt. Such a pilgrimage were sweet. Something that only shows that it's hypothetical. It would have been sweet unless and a pilgrimage is used because a pilgrimage in its classical sense is something where you go and visit sacred places, and this, and of course for many men this also, it can be a pilgrimage to go and find a true and fair woman. Here, as we said, it depicts this wisdom, beauty, something, and it's certainly worth of a pilgrimage. But somehow I who am writing this poem only think of it as hypothetical, something that I wouldn't, as a path, as a wind, as a turn in the path that I wouldn't embark upon myself, because it's probably has been plotted by someone else.
Really? Maybe. He doesn't say so.
He doesn't say so in these two lines.
So so if you say a pilgrimage to a woman, you're like, that's a bit strange. But if you say, pilgrimage to this great wisdom, well, then it's normal.
Well, a woman maybe in this medieval sense, where all those riders, all those riders, again, getting back to riding a horse for many days and months. They had this notion of defending, of finding the Holy Grail and defending it against the infidels, and they also had this notion of fighting for a woman who is the best, the fairest.
Fighting before asking, that's the problem. But the idea of the lady again comes from Christianity and from pre-Christian ideas of the lady. So again, when they do it in culture, they have the fair lady. They don't think about her as a earthly woman. She's an image. She represents the lady.
This ideal, yes, this idea.
Oh, I hate her. That's a very person.
Тебе нужно...
Let me just close the door. Maybe I could earn a hefty salary by just standing there, opening the doors for the newly arrived.
So if you find one, we have the word one, as opposed maybe to not, zero. If you find one, or if you find one, not two, not three, but one again is
relativistic, isn't it?
Relativistic, but one is again important. Not if you find such a woman, but if you find one. Because then he says, here I come to two or three. Well, let me know.
Well, relativistic, I mean, if you have the truth, the lady, as you say, that's the. If you find one, it might be this one, or this one, or this one, or this one of the many, which necessarily means
again,
it's not the, it's not
if we speak about Sophia or Shekhinah, there's only one. She's the one. Because infinity, infinity, how many infinities do we have? We have lots of infinities, but it's still one infinity. I mean, mathematically, we have lots and lots of infinities. Like all natural numbers, that's infinity. All odd numbers, that's another infinity, which should be half the size of the first infinity, but as it's infinite, it makes no sense, it's still infinite. All even numbers, that's another infinity. All positive and negative numbers, that's another infinity, and so on and so on. You can have lots and lots of infinities.
Multitudes.
But it's still the same infinity.
Yeah.
If you find one, so we were talking about nowhere, zero space, and in that zero space, somehow he finds one. Let me know, such a pilgrimage were sweet. 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 That's sweet. Because we love her. Because we don't do it because we are old, not because oh, it's great, we must do it. It's sweet. That's how we take it. It's such a pilgrimage were sweet. Yet do not, I would not go. So again, it's a bit strange at first sight. Let me know if you find her, that's would be good. But no, I will not go. Do not, I would not go. Again, maybe we can read it as do what? Do not. As opposed to do things. Do not. Because if she belongs to nowhere, you will never get there by doing, going. You will only get there by doing not and going not there. Would not go. So again, it could be a contradiction, like he asks to tell and then he says, but don't tell me, I will not go. Or maybe it isn't. Maybe he says, I will go to the no place, no space. If you do north, then I can follow to north. Because if you do things, I can only follow to things. And that is not. That is not where I want to go. Though next door we might meet. So again, he says, this wisdom, beauty, eternity, infinity, it's not far away. It's not far away. You need to ride 10,000 days and nights, not because she is far away, but because you need to cover the distance. When you do it, she is next door. She's not far away. You don't have to go all that way again. Yeah, you don't try it for her, you ride for yourself. Though next door we might meet. And here we have we. It was you, thou, and I, and she, but now we have we. Closer to the end of the poem, finally there's some sort of union. We might meet.
You and I, or you and she?
I and her.
I and her.
Or I and you, because we are one and her, all three. Though she were true, when you met her, at last still you write your letter. Again, if you write your letter, you fix it, you think it, you language it. You can't do it. It becomes false if you try to do it. Because the language is not supposed to work with the unlanguageable completely. That's why it's unlanguageable. She were true when you met her, because you were in the same position, same space, same state, same resonance as her. So she were true. But when you try to bring her back here, you can't do it.
Just trying to sort of pin her down. And she disappears in the sense that she's no longer true.
So she were true until you wrote your letter.
Isn't it just where some philosophers say you can't really reach the truth unless you follow all the process that leads you to the discovery of truth.
Not really. It's, I guess it's the question of perception. You move your perception, then you see it clearly. But to be in this reality, you need to shift it and so it would match this reality. And then the other reality becomes invisible to you. Same as if you switch channels on a TV set. The channels are all there. You see one at a time. If you want to see news, you need to switch to that channel. If you want to see a film, you switch to some other channel. It doesn't mean that the news disappears or that the film disappears. It's still there. You only perceive one of them at a time. Yeah? And as such, you cannot bring her to this reality in the sense that she doesn't operate in here. She doesn't belong here. So you write your letter, you're writing down, fixing, you're writing words, fixing, yeah? Letters. Let me know, letter. Let me know, letter. Let me know, letter. Let her, letter. Letty. As a name, Letty. And yet she will be false ere I come to 2 or 3. So we had 1. But before I come to 2 or 3, she will be false because she is in the 0 and we are in 1. And we are moving from 1 to 2 to 3. Yeah. We increase the distance. And we think we progress. Oh, 2, that's better than 1. 3, oh, that's better than 2. I'm growing and progressing, but really you're distancing yourself. And then she'll be more and more false from your perspective, from your position. Then again, 1 is concentrated, 2 is, let's say, communication, things, action. If you have 2, then they automatically start communicating. Being opposite, for instance, that's communication too. You have 3, well, that's the start of thinking. Yeah, because 2 start interacting and bringing all else. 3, 4, 5. That should be false, because we need to go to nowhere, no things. Comments?
The idea I mentioned was that the obvious idea that you can't really have the full truth there ready for you because you can for example it's obvious with mathematics or physics you can tell me something which is true in mathematics, and I wouldn't necessarily know the truth just because you give me the formula and I can't read the formula, I don't understand it.
That's a different sort of truth.
So I have to travel all that way, all those 10,000 days and nights in order to reach it. Unless I follow that path myself, I can only have about possessing truth, because I possess somebody else's truth.
No one can tell you, but you can get it.
Well, so it requires...
Here it is, come and get it. do. Yeah. It cannot be told, which is why the person who goes and the person who stays are the same person.
And it cannot be told, it cannot be taught.
It can only be discovered.
It can only be discovered, and again, well, it can't be taught in the sense it can, of course, if the teaching leads someone on the path of discovery.
Yeah, it's like, again, we come back to the first stanza. Tell me, teach me. Who can tell you? Who can teach you? Either who cleft the devil's foot, who can tell you, or yourself. There's no one else. No, somebody's being really busy. Yeah. And in that sense, the truth, no one can teach you, no one can tell you, but it doesn't mean it's unavailable. No. It's that. All it takes is a slight shift in perception, but how to do it, how to shift your perception, and then to return, when thou returns, have to return too. But that's what we need to find out.